Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read you these absolutely terrible numbers that I've been telling you about. U.S. retail sales fell by 1.9% in December, according to data published by the U.S. Census Bureau revealed today, Friday. That was well below market expectations of a decline of 0.1%. Instead of 0.1% decline in retail sales declined by 1.9%. People are feeling the effects of inflation. Everybody is. When you go to the supermarket, you know that you're spending more money for eggs, meat, milk, bread. This is the beginning of the stock market crash. I have been telling everyone for months now that there's going to be a devastating stock market crash. You can type in H.A. Goodman Federalist on Google. You can see my latest article in the Federalist. It was October of 2021. Why are Democrats hurtling the United States towards a stock market crash? I think Bitcoin is going to get down to 10,000. Unfortunately, and I respect people who invest in cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. I respect the philosophy behind it. I think you're going to have more than a 20% downward spiral. So the Dow is at 36,000 or so. You could get something. The Dow could actually go down to 22, 20, more than that. 23, 24,000 or even to 20,000. In 2008, it was a 50% market correction. Okay, so you're looking at around 20,000, a little bit below 20,000. If there's a 50%, not just correction, market crash. You have $1 trillion in margin debt. Retail sales have tanked. Why? Because Democrats shut down, they pushed for, and this is going to be very difficult for million sub left-leaning pundits to understand, because they make probably the left-leaning pundits on YouTube that have 1 million to 4 million subs and say that, mashed potato brains is a fantastic president and Trump is a menace and all of that, basically repeating what CNN or MSNBC basically essentially tells them to say. These people are making 20, 30, 40 grand a month. Okay? Or, some of the channels have 1 million to 2 million subs, but they're still making, they're not really growing or doing much, but they're still making easily 20 grand a month. Easily. They're not worried about inflation. Okay? We have the wealthiest socialists on the planet in the history of the world. There have never been wealthier socialists than the American left or pundits or journalists who sing the praises of Biden or of left-leaning economic policies. They pushed to end economic activity in 2020 primarily to kick Trump out of office, but fear of you know what. They will never give up that fear. That paranoia gives them spiritual sustenance. They love it. They love to tell you what you need to do to be safe while at the same time preventing you from working for your family and obtaining an income. And then they'll talk about the working class. But anyway, the point is this. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Share this segment everywhere. It is so important, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you have savings. Make sure you have money saved. I'm telling you, you will thank me. If you made money on crypto or stocks, equities, if you made money in the market, take some money off the table. Make sure you have cash and make sure you have a savings where, if God forbid, we get into another recession or worse, and there's a too big to fail moment, which I believe you're going to see hedge funds collapse this time around, like Archegos. with $30 billion margin calls because inflation is going to be so bad, 15% according to Peter Schiff, if the CPI was calculated in the manner that it was in 1982, people are not going to have the $10 trillion pumped into the economy by the Federal Reserve, which is already tapering. They're going to stop buying back government debt by March or April. The QE will end. The taper will finish. Fed tapering will essentially finish by the start of the second quarter. And they're not going to pump any more money into the economy. And they're going to raise interest rates a couple of times this year. The market could tank after the first interest rate hike. And the market goes up today, it really doesn't matter. The market goes up next week, it doesn't matter. It's counterintuitive. None of this makes any sense. It's completely all counterintuitive. The market could go up. And by the way, just a side note, I told everyone years back, I'm not Nostradamus at all, but I'm spot on a lot of things I've said. I said Hillary Clinton would lose to Trump. She lost. Now, I might have been 4 years too early, but now everyone is talking about Clinton. And they cheated Bernie Sanders. Everybody was talking about now Clinton coming back in 2024. I think she will. Okay? But I told everyone she will never, and she would make a better president than Biden. I would vote for Trump 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000 times if it's Trump Clinton. We need President Trump to save us. We had record low unemployment. We had wage growth that wasn't being undercut by runaway rampant inflation. We had leverage over China with tariffs, and we had a record low Black and Latino unemployment. Hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs. This is the problem when you have morally superior liberals and conservatives who just don't like Trump. They get themselves into this frenzy, this apoplectic, hysterical frenzy, because they don't like his personality. But like I said, these people are already rich. So what do they care? They can focus on personality. So they say, oh, well, we don't like Trump. He's ruining democracy. We had a couple 100,000 manufacturing jobs lost under President Obama. We had 300,000 to 500,000, depending on the estimate, of manufacturing jobs created by Trump. That's a fact. We had record low Black and Latino unemployment. That's a fact. We didn't have labor shortages. We didn't, and don't bring up 2020 because Democrats gleefully pushed for an end to economic activity. They opened up a Pandora's box for all of this. If you've made money in Bitcoin, for the love of God, take some money off the table and make sure you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of savings. Or in the stock market, if you are about to retire, you have no business, in my view, in my humble view, being in the market now. If you need liquidity, if you need that money within a year or less, you have no business being in the stock market. You have no business being in the stock market. When this thing tanks, and we can go through, you can look. Retail sales took a giant dump. Okay, we're supposed to be a year plus into our economic recovery. Our economic recovery is going the same direction as Alec Baldwin's George Stephanopoulos interview. Right into the toilet. And not only was this a huge miss, but people are not going to pay the increase in prices for goods and services because of stimulus checks or money pumped into the economy that led to record profits. So there's record profits in the stock market because if this is a casino, the house is giving people money to gamble. Or in this case, the house is giving people money to continue playing, continue working, living, and it's not At the end of the day, when the stock market goes down, things like cryptocurrencies will tank. Now, we had and the market is going to tank itself. You see Tesla going down, it's not going to always be at over 1,000 for the next 6, 7, 8 months. I mean, who knows? You could probably get to back to 600 or even 500. Maybe lower. But here, I want to show you this, and this will be below. The 2008 crash, thebalance.com is pretty good website. Thebalance.com, the stock market crash of 2008 occurred on September 29, 2008. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 777.68 points in intraday trading. Until the stock market crash of 2020, it was the largest point drop in history. On October 9, 2007, the Dow hit its pre-recession high and closed at 14,164.53. Okay? By March 5, 2009, it had dropped more than 50% to 6,594. Please tell me why the market can't get down to 20,000. We're in a too big to fail. You don't think these institutions are on thin ice? All of these hedge funds, you see like a couple $1 billion bailout or infusion of money, and recently, I mean, there's all these hedge funds have derivatives trades where they're rolling the dice with these contracts that aren't regulated. And they're betting on price fluctuations or price increases. And they're buying these derivatives on margin. These are just contracts that are unregulated contracts. And they're private contracts. Regulators don't really know the contracts between the hedge fund and the brokerage or the bank, but the bank is giving them money on margin to buy risky derivatives, and then the bank or the brokerage calls the hedge fund and says, oh, by the way, the money we loaned you, this is a margin call, give us back that money. That's why Archegos got a $30 billion margin call. They borrowed more than that to buy these derivatives contracts to make bets on price fluctuation. Well, the price of, what is it? I forgot which, Comcast, I think, went down too quickly one week, and there goes Archegos, the hedge fund last year. Then you had the GameStop debacle. And you have a situation where in 2020, you had 5,000, a loss of 5,000 points within a week or so. Okay? With like 2,000 to 3,000 point drops in a single day. And we didn't have $1 trillion in margin debt. We didn't have inflation at 15%, according to Peter Schiff in 2008. We didn't even have inflation at 15% in 2020. We didn't have supply chain issues. Evergrande in China wasn't in default. We have an endless list of problems, and retail sales weren't tanking. People have stopped buying things because of it's too much, too expensive. But you can't expect, see the media or morally superior, oftentimes apoplectic liberal Democrats, especially in Hollywood, are rich. They're wealthy. Socialists in this country, the pundits, are wealthy. And so when they fear saying anything negative about mashed potato brains Biden, they're doing so from the lofty perch of making a lot of money every month, spewing the same nonsense that the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the Atlantic, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone, New Yorker, New York Magazine, Mother Jones, The Nation, BuzzFeed, Daily Beast. It's all of social media, all of Twitter, social media algorithms, all of late night Stephen Colbert, Corden, Jamie Kimmel, Seth Meyer. They have every single possible advantage, and still 73 million Americans tell them to take a hike and will vote for Trump again. Because 73 million Americans don't care about a person's personality, or I like Trump's personality. They care about economic growth. None of Biden's platform deals with economic growth. You cannot simply say we're going to combat climate change and that's going to help grow the economy. Oil, gas, coal, they're at record highs. There's a great economist and expert in energy. Let's see. His name is Alex Epstein. Excellent expert on energy. Awesome. Okay, Alex Epstein. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. His book, The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels and Fossil Future, is coming out April 19th, 2022. You can actually find out. He has a Substack. I don't have Twitter, and I don't have Facebook, but it's at Alex Epstein on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, follow him. But I don't think anyone should be on Twitter. But anyway, if you are, it's Alex Epstein. He's awesome. He explains why Democrats single-handedly caused oil, natural gas, coal to be at all-time highs when they want to combat climate change because their policies are mashugana. And now we have the left, or Democrats, and I was on the left my whole life. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. That's all on my website, hagoodman.com. You could read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, other publications. They're talking, Bernie Sanders talk about the working class. That's why I left that cult. Working class, the working class. The working class is suffering, Bernie, because of you and every other Democrat, and he says he's an independent, he's a Democrat, pushed to end economic activity. You broke the global supply chain. You broke it, and you're still hysterical and apoplectic and obsessed over the same thing 2 years in after you told us if you tanked the economy in 2020, you'd save us from you-know-what, and you're still focused on you-know-what because nothing you've done worked. Nothing you've done worked for the long term. Bitcoin is going to tank, unfortunately. And I respect, the philosophy behind it. The dollar is depreciating, going down. Inflation is rising. It's not going to stop. The inflation is not going to end. So they're going to pump the brakes on an economy that's barely functioning, which 30 to 40% of the profits that of the S&P are bank and tech. 30 to 40% of the S&P 500 profits are bank and technology stocks and companies. Tesla is now more valued than the top 4 or 5 automakers in the world. And we have $1 trillion in margin debt. And because of the nature of social media, market crashes are going to be even worse now. Because the one thing social media does is amplify hysteria. This is very good for the Democratic Party because they only run on emotion. Their fuel is emotion. They're like a locomotive, they're pumping coal into the engine. No, a steamship or whatever, or anyway, you know what I'm trying to get to. Their fuel is emotion, pure emotion. And when negativity is amplified now, and again, the market could go up today. I don't really care. I don't really care. Market goes up this week, next week. The market's probably going to tank today. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The stock market crash has begun. And this is so sad because, I mean, it could get you to the point of tears. Not only because people are losing money, but look what the smartest people and the experts and the authorities and the officials and the government and media and Hollywood and all the apoplectic, hysterical, morally superior liberal Democrats did. They took a serious issue and they turned it into get Trump out of office no matter what. Then they couldn't stop their hysteria. Then it was, well, if Trump disagrees with something, or if Trump agrees with something, we must disagree. Then it was end economic activity. It's too soon to open. Oh my God, it's too soon. Authorities and experts say it's too soon. You took a functioning economy, and now we have the national debt trillions more than our GDP. The Buffett indicator is forgot the number, but it's like we're all the stock, all the indices are way overvalued. Let's see, I can see it here. Where's the Buffett indicator? Anyway, 64%, something like that. And everything that Biden does and everything that Democrats do, it's almost designed to ruin any chance at a true economic recovery. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And the working class or the average Joe or the average Jane or the average American is going to suffer because of the policies promoted by the morally superior experts who ran this country into the ground economically. And this is not my opinion. This is a fact. It wasn't Trump that pushed to end economic activity, although he acquiesced, but he had to. What was he going to do with the rampant fear and paranoia? So, but then a month, 2 months later, he said, "Hey, we gotta bring this." But at the economic consequences, they were already. It was too late. The Federal Reserve, pumped $4 trillion or so into the economy. The fiscal stimulus from Congress, $6 trillion into the economy. And for months, I've been telling people, this is not going to end well, and it's not going to end well. I said the whole Trump-Russia thing was completely fabricated and nonsense the second he won. And now we're fine. Now we already knew for years it's been completely fabricated. I'm not right about everything, but I've been spot on a lot of the things that I've said. If you've lasted this long, share this segment everywhere. Retail sales have tanked. What do you think that means when you combine horrible retail sales, rampant inflation, endless margin debt, derivatives trades that could tank too big to fail banks and hedge funds, broken global supply chain, real estate catastrophe in China, real estate problems here, bond market overvalued. Once interest rates go up, the bond market's going to tank, and that'll hurt the real estate market. And then you have people quitting their jobs, and then you have people leaving their work for reasons we won't talk about, but you know what those reasons are. And it's the reality of what they pushed for is going to come, it's going to be a stark reality check. This is happening under Democratic rule, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't like Trump's personality? Well, now you have mashed potato brains and an impending economic collapse. Gee, I'll probably deal with Trump's personality now being redefined as democracy or an end to democracy. I'll deal with Trump's personality if we have a good economy and a foreign policy that limits interventions. That's why the Lincoln Project opposes Trump. If you are backing the Lincoln Project as a liberal, you're an imbecile. But again, this is like explaining physics to a house cat. It's impossible for them to get. They don't get the hypocrisy. They don't understand. If an ICBM was launched by numerous countries, ICBMs, God forbid, stock market crash hits, which will happen. Earthquake, God forbid, everything, every calamity you could imagine. The last words of the morally superior liberal would be, at least Trump isn't tweeting. At least Trump isn't tweeting. Everything. When the economic collapse happens, at least democracy is safe. Okay? They'll say at least democracy is safe. Meanwhile, everyone will be suffering. But they'll be happy because they don't have to deal with Trump's personality. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. If you enjoy my work, my Patreon is below. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll do a segment on this also. But I wanted to do it on my main channel because it's very important. Hit subscribe right now. It's not just enjoyable or like, if you enjoy my work, I appreciate that so much. But this is also, I think, will help a lot of people if they understand the economy, or at least the stock market, is going to collapse, and the economy could possibly collapse because of that. Save your money, people, as I beg for Patreon. But no, seriously. Make sure you have money saved up for yourself and your family. Because I don't want to say this, it's un-American to say this, but the worst is yet to come, economically, because of the policies of mashed potato brains. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Retail sales tank. Stock market crash has already begun. Give me your thoughts.